Go. Hey everybody, it's Emily Moyer, and like most of you, I'm wondering what it is I'm supposed to do tonight, because about this time I'm usually watching the Sunday night Astro live stream, but for reasons that are too obnoxious to detail, that's not happening right now. But I do have my good friend Bobby P with me to give everyone an update on what's going on, where they'll be able to find him, what he's doing tonight, because there's no show, and I thought everybody would like to see him, because I've certainly received lots of messages and comments asking where he is. So thought that we would bring Elvis back from the dead and let him enter the building. Robert, how you doing?
Back in the building. I'm doing well, Emily. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I would like to, I want to say I apologize for having all these people
No,
hit you up
don't.
about my absence, but I'm not, because
No.
it's actually a very interesting phenomenon having people whom I've never met, care about, my well-being. And so I'm actually grateful for that. And we, we can chat about like what's happened, and if you want,
Okay.
and what is going to happen next. So a lot of people just they're not on Facebook, they don't follow me on Twitter, so they don't know, right? So because I do post
Yeah.
there pretty regularly, so this will be an opportunity for me to tell people what went down, and where I am,
Absolutely.
what I'm
So
going to do.
I just, to be clear, I was just kidding. I don't mind playing middleman, and it's actually heartwarming to me too to know, okay, wow, like there's a whole community of people out there that if something were to happen to me, they'd have my back too. They got yours, and
I would get I would get texts, I get emails, they'd ask the same thing.
same thing. And it's
Yeah.
nice, like people know, like people are very clear that you and I have each other's back, and so when they can't find you, they know to come ask me. And so we have a good communication system, down. People know where to go to ask. And so no, I think it's great, and I absolutely am happy to field the questions. But this is better, because it's not just me answering them, it gets to be you answering them. And
Right.
and maybe if we're lucky, even Jasper will be making an appearance, because I'm sure his fans have been dying without him. So
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see what
well,
happens with Jasper.
I think it's been interesting. I've been kind of assessing the energies of like the last few days, week kind of thing. And there does, like with sort of lockdowns are ending, at least for now, right? And, the, censorship is seemingly on the rise. There seems to be this natural, and obviously just with me making some changes in my life personally, I'm feeling that we're at this natural sort of end point of some things, and a new beginning is on the other side of it. And we're in this kind of space of like a good time to assess like what things we want to take with us and what we want to leave behind, and what's viable and what's not, and how we want to deal with this sort of, we're in a new world, right? And so it seems kind of like a good time to sort of let you can kind of talk about what happened and what your plans are going forward, and how you're going to change things up a little bit, not just in response to what the system is doing, but like, yeah, like you have your own things you want to do. Like I'm taking this as a time to go, all right, well, I'm going to go all in on myself and stop being dependent so much on the other things that people are, that we've become dependent on. Not that we don't use them, but we use them simply for what they are, and not for not, it was never, we knew this, but it was never a safe place to store our goods,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so the sort of the genesis of events that led up to where we are now is that I started to get strikes on my 15 minutes of flame channel, and they always they seem nothing but arbitrary. Like they don't really make a lot of sense. It's really whatever they want to contextualize their so-called violation of community standards and guidelines. And unless you're somebody like Tim Pool who can get on the phone and talk to somebody at YouTube, there's really no recourse to. I mean, you can challenge things, and unless you have real grounds, like on a copyright issue, which I've had copyright issues overturned with YouTube,
yep.
many actually. But unless you have connections, you're not you're not going to get an answer. This is, we're into, Kafka-esque territory. So I wound up having a 2-week ban because I received the second strike, and I have no idea really what it was about. I mean, I could have been talking about the election results, but I never really talked about the election results in a way that was trying to establish that Trump won. I never really did that. I did talk about the vaccine material, and I did talk about the COVID-19 ridiculousness. And again, that's contrary to their community guidelines and standards. So I was banned for 2 weeks, and then I decided that I was going to explore Vimeo, because Vimeo, I thought, would be a viable secondary option, even though deep down inside, I knew that Vimeo was going to pose its own problems. Um, so that was happening, and I was out for 2 weeks from YouTube. People came over to Vimeo. I was streaming on Vimeo live, but it was very difficult for people to find me. And you had, on more than one occasion, have
I
brought
had
up.
trouble, and I use Vimeo. I have a Vimeo account. I know how it works. I had trouble finding you. Yeah.
So I was left with posting links to my shows on Twitter and on Facebook. And what was really interesting is when I first made that migration to Vimeo, my stats were really high.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Really high. And then all of a sudden they weren't high.
Yep. There's something going on. Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on here? Are they winnowing out people to not find me? Would they really do that? And why would they do that? Why wouldn't they just like take me off the air or something? Well, then eventually that happened. So then it was like, okay, my YouTube account was reactivated. So my channel was up. And I said, okay, well, and I was trying to make this transition to Vimeo, and then Vimeo to using their technology embedded on my site and then stream from my site, which is why I worked with them, or at least chose them to do this. So in the interim, I was doing shows on YouTube, and then once they were done, I was deleting the shows. I didn't want to risk another strike.
Yeah.
And then what I was doing is I was uploading those shows to Vimeo. Now, I'm sure that Vimeo and YouTube have a relationship.
100%. Yeah.
And that they talk and they communicate, and because it's like, okay, they're downstream, you're going to catch these people. We want to make sure that, they're not going to be able to do what they do. So I think I did about, I don't know, maybe about 4 shows, maybe 5 shows where I was taking the streams and the live stream. And once it was done, deleting them. And then it was not this last Wednesday, but the Wednesday before last, I came home and I went to go onto YouTube to watch some videos, and I couldn't get into my account. And I was like, what's going on here? And I kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And finally it took me to a page and it said that I was banned from that account. And I was like, oh shit. I went to my channel was gone. Well, one of them was gone, but the 11th house channel where I do Sunday nights, that was still intact. In fact, it's still there. And that channel had no strikes. I've been on there for 10 years and I've never had a strike in that channel. So what they did is they nuked 15 minutes of flame, and then they banned me from my account. So that content's still there, but I can't access it. If I had both of those accounts on both channels on 2 separate accounts, Sunday Night Astro Live, the 11th house would still be there, and I could still use it. Although at this point, I'd probably be very trepidatious.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, okay, well, I'll deal with that. I'll, figure out a way. And I was like, okay, well, I still have Vimeo. So I was using Vimeo, and then what was it, Thursday? I think Thursday, done, gone. People said, your channel's no longer there. And I was like, it's gone. Oh, okay. Well, it looks like they've deleted me here too.
Yeah.
So, and it was really interesting because there were a couple of things that had happened the weekend before. Jason Goodman was actually here in Fredericksburg,
Mm-hmm.
and he mentioned something about Ole Damigard because he and Ole do things together. And he said that, we have to address the Vimeo situation because they got rid of him. They got rid of Ole Damigard. And Ole Damigard, I think he does really, really good work, but I don't think he's as flammable as I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll take on certain things or talk about certain things, and I'll use profanity and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't do that. He's just a really good guy. And I thought, oh shit, if they're taking off Ole Damigard, I'm not far behind.
Mm-hmm.
And then that Thursday, I was looking at their featured content. And I'm looking at their featured content, and I said, I'm not long for this fucking channel. I can tell you that right now. It's all pretty much woke shit.
Yeah.
That's what they're pushing. And they have no desire to house or support content that is going to resemble mine. And that was it. It was done. And then I paid for that service. I paid them $815 to be able to use their streaming for the next year. And I said, I want my money back. And they did. They refunded it to my account, which was good.
Yeah.
So at least I got my money back. But I lost more videos along the way.
But my question is this: who is making who's making up that money? Right? Like, companies are in business to make money. You're not breaking laws, right? Kind of thing. They're in business to make money. So every time that they refund somebody's money because they delete that account, who's making up that business for them? It wouldn't surprise me if somehow through some series of daisy chains or whatever, they're owned by YouTube.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that. And you have to think about how much money got sucked up during the summer of George Floyd.
Right.
With the whatever blue thing they had.
Well, and also if they are part of a larger conglomerate, did they receive stimulus money?
Well, I mean, I think that's part of it, but also that George Floyd money that went into BLM or wherever they funneled that money to, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just everyday people. It was huge amounts of corporate money.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A was donating to that.
Yeah.
You had everybody and their brother who wanted to have their woke checkbox,
their ally sticker in their window. Yeah, their ally sticker.
Yeah. So where did that money go? Who were they paying? And I think that money went to a lot of different places.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that money went to polling stations, and I'm not going to say a lot more about that. Because you have a channel. I don't want to jeopardize your channel, but I think it went into hands that were going to use that money to create a political landscape alternate to the one that was being played out at that time. Okay. So that it went to fund a lot of that.
Yeah.
That was a lot of money. And then you've got the stimulus money, which is really important. We've gone through 3 rounds of the stimulus money now.
Yeah.
3 rounds. And that money is being used to keep businesses afloat that don't make any money.
Right.
And I think YouTube probably makes money. I think they make money. Google, I'm sure, makes money with their search. But even if YouTube was deleting a lot of their money-making channels, I don't think it would really matter very much. And in Vimeo, who knows? Again, a very kind of secretive company. They don't have a phone number.
Right.
They're in New York. I know where their office is. I looked it up online, but you can't get a hold of them. And
all these companies. There's all of these companies that we all rely on to make our livings. Almost none of them have phone numbers or even a person that you can email. They just have those stupid little chat boxes at the bottom, right? Hi, my name is so-and-so. But that kind of crap, right?
Right. And some of those are even just automated. And you'll ask a question, they'll give you three FAQs.
Yeah, they are automated because whoever the person is in the corner, it's the same name, whether I'm on there at 2 PM or 2 AM or whatever, right? That person's like, hey, can I help you? This is what I think Vimeo is. I actually think Vimeo was created as a tool for like short film and documentary filmmakers. And then people started using it for other things, right? As an alternative to YouTube. And it may have been they never even wanted to be in that business. So if somebody comes to them and says, hey, like, we're just going to give you this money, just reject this kind of content, they're like, cool, we weren't wanting to be in that business anyway. The way that I have used Vimeo, and I think like I've had one video issue with Vimeo, but that's it. I mark all my videos private. So no, like people can't find them by searching them. So basically the videos are private and you can only watch the video if I give you the private link. And so when I embed it on Patreon for the patron section, that is sharing the private link with people. So they're able to go there and watch it. But a person who wasn't interested in my content couldn't go there, find the content, and then make any kind of complaint. And it's not, I don't try to get them to promote my content. Like the only people who watch my Vimeo stuff are my patrons, right? Every once in a while, I'll share one of them publicly or something like that, but very seldomly. And so I think that like, that's really the only way that you can use Vimeo. It's not like, right. And so I think what happened is you like went over there for a couple of days and you were getting accurate counts, right? And then they were like, oh, okay, they realized what's going on. So first burying you, right? And then starting playing with it. Because that weird day, I was clicking on the link that said it was for the day I was clicking on, but it was making it like it was for tomorrow's show that you had previously scheduled or something. And then that is the same day that your channel came down. So they were screwing with stuff, you know. But yeah, I think that, you know, I think it only works as like a private video share thing for people who want to do anything controversial. If you want to make a short film about the crisis of climate change and how wonderful Greta Thunberg is, they'll put that on the front page and promote that all day. Mm-hmm. They might even pay you to make it. Right. So I think that's pretty much how Vimeo is. I don't think it was, you know, designed to be anything, you know, more than that, but it's still, it's disappointing and it's hard to sort of reshuffle. So what has this week been like for you? And what have you kind of, what have you sort of discovered, or what have you come to as like, you know, where you're going to be going with things and a solution for yourself?
So before I go there, let's just do a quick history of Vimeo, because I think
oh, cool. Yeah.
It'll give us some insight. So Vimeo was initially built by Jake Lodwick and Zach Klein in 2004 as a spinoff of College Humor to share humor videos among colleagues. Though put to the side to support the growing popularity of College Humor, IAC, which is a big-time company, that's Barry Diller's company, acquired College Humor and Vimeo in 2006 after Google had acquired YouTube for over $1.65 billion. IAC directed more effort into Vimeo to compete against YouTube, focused on providing curated content and high-definition video to distinguish itself from other video sharing sites. Lodwick and Klein both left by 2009, and IAC implemented a more corporate-focused structure to build out Vimeo's services, with current CEO Anjali Sood, S-U-D, having been in place since July 2017. IAC plans to spin off Vimeo as its own public-owned company by the second quarter of 2021. So they're positioning themselves to hit the open market and become publicly traded. So I think that they probably want to have a clean face.
Clean image.
They want to have a clean image. They want to look good. They want to have culturally curated content. That is going to be synonymous with the times.
Yeah.
So IAC is owned by, so they're in the IAC building. That's where they're at. That's where their headquarters are.
What's IAC?
IAC is, what does it stand for? History. So IAC doesn't even really say what IAC is. It's an American holding. It's a holding company that owns brands across 100 countries, mostly in media and internet, and is incorporated in Delaware, of course.
Of course, yeah. So but now we see what it is. So they own all sorts of companies so that they can do this shit. Yeah.
Joey Levin, who previously led the company's search and application segment, has served as a CEO since June 2015. It was established in 1986 as Silver King Broadcasting Company as part of a plan to increase viewership of the home shopping network by purchasing local television stations. By 1988, Silver King had bought 11 stations for about 220 million. The company was later named HSN Communications and then Silver King Communications
Interesting.
Inc. In 1992, Silver King was spun off to HSN shareholders as a separately traded public company, which is what they're going to do now with Vimeo.
Yeah.
In 1995, Barry Diller acquired control of Silver King in a deal backed by the company's largest shareholder, Liberty Media. Diller, who had led the creation of the Fox network.
That's hilarious. Liberty Media.
Mhm. Yeah. Reportedly hoped to use Silver King stations as the foundation for a new broadcast network. The company acquired several assets in the late 1990s. In December 1996, Silver King acquired an 80% stake in HSN for 1.3 billion in stock and changed its own name to HSN Inc. At the same time, the company acquired Savoy Pictures, a failed film studio that owned 4 Fox affiliate stations through SF Broadcasting. So we're talking mergers and conglomerates here, shells,
Yeah.
right? Moving of
Daisy
assets.
chains. Yeah.
Yeah. HSN purchased a controlling stake in Ticketmaster Group in July. So they own a part of Ticketmaster, right? Controlling stake, and then acquired the rest of the company in June 1998. So this thing is just swallowing. This
vampire squid sucking the life
yeah.
out of everything. Yeah.
Yeah. In February 1998, it acquired the television assets of Universal Studios, including USA Network, Sci-Fi Channel, and Universal Television's domestic production and distribution arms. So for 4.1 billion, the company's name was changed to USA Networks. At this point, continuing its acquisition strategy, the company acquired the Hotel Reservations Network in May 1999 for 149 million. USA Networks merged the online division of Ticketmaster with the City Guide website City Search in September 1998, established a new company that went public as Ticketmaster Online City Search. So they're arbitraging these companies now.
So I know what this is. This is Evil Corp, right?
Yeah.
So Evil Corp is the imaginary company in the TV show Mr. Robot, which of course is on USA Network, right? Which in Evil Corp ultimately ends up having, owning the base, becoming the new US currency, right? It owns more, basically owns the government too, kind of thing, right? And it becomes like the sort of digital currency that they use instead of the dollar, right? That's what this is.
So it became Interactive Corp, which is IAC in 2003.
Yeah.
Then they acquired Lending Tree, the mortgage company.
Yeah.
They acquired Hotwire.
Wow. So they've got you coming and going, right? You can't get a loan, you can't get a deal on a car or anything because I wonder if that's how it works too. Have you ever had the experience of going to rent a car and they're like, you're on our do not rent list?
No, I've never had that happen.
So I've had that happen. And it's like, that's like a weird thing when that happens, right? Because I've never been arrested. I've never had any serious thing like that, right? So like it's for some reason, the only company that I seem to be able to, without any problems, rent a car from is Enterprise, right? Some of the smaller ones too. But when I go to most of them are owned by the same company. They're all owned by Hertz. And for some reason, Hertz doesn't like me, right? Yeah. So apparently 20 years ago or something, maybe I returned a car without a full tank of gas or I smoked in the car or something like that. So banned for life. So it would be interesting if the way all of this interconnection based on social credit score happens, right, is that because you got your Vimeo account deleted later, you won't be able to rent the hotel room for the company that they own.
You never know. But they were just getting started. They've acquired TripAdvisor, Service Magic, Ask Jeeves, LaunchGifts.com, and the company bundled together its travel-related sites and spun them off as a new public company, Expedia Inc. So they're pulling things together, spinning them off, creating arbitrages, doing IPOs. I mean, this is a major group, and to do this stuff, right, you've got to get you got to get capital, right? So they've probably got a massive account with a number of different banks that allow them to get liquidity
Yeah.
to make these purchases and buy these companies. Because which one of these companies is actually making money,
Right.
right? So because
Yeah.
they're not making money.
Yeah.
Like when was the last time Ask Jeeves made money? And when was the last time you
Right.
ever went to Ask Jeeves?
Well, and then TripAdvisor, as far as I always knew, was like somehow related to AAA. Like, yeah, like right, like TripAdvisor was something that was like a website related to AAA. But there's nothing on TripAdvisor to make money from. It's just
Right.
like a rating system for like
Yeah.
restaurants and experiences and things like that.
Well, they sell advertising and then they sell clicks. They're always getting information.
Yeah,
Who clicked here, where were they, what kind of device were they using, what kind of profile has been compiled for that person, because they know pretty much, they know more about you than some of your immediate family knows about you.
totally. Yeah.
So they kept going. They bought Urban Spoon.
Oh, wow.
That was in 2009. In 2008 they bought Lexico, the owner of dictionary.com,
Hmm.
thesaurus.com, and reference.com. IAC would later sell Urban Spoon to Zomato in 2015. And it just goes on and on and on. I mean, these guys, they've got Angie's List.
Oh, wow.
It's part of Home Advisor.
Yeah.
I mean, so they've got the list of companies that are connected through them is pretty significant. And Vimeo acquired Livestream.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
David Palmer was telling me about this, and he was using Livestream, and all of a sudden Vimeo acquired it, and it's like, oh, well, good luck with that. It's no longer independent.
Yeah.
Livestream is an independent company, independent product.
Right.
So there's your historical Vimeo breakdown.
All right. Okay. So now let's hear about how the phoenix is going to rise from the ashes. What's the plan?
Well, yeah. So one of the things that I mean, I could be like a number of people who just upload videos,
Hmm.
and there's nothing wrong with that. For some people like yourself,
It works
it's a,
good for me.
it
Yeah.
works good. It works good. I always have enjoyed live streaming, and it started when I was doing live podcasting, which predated my time on YouTube. In fact, I never really wanted to go to YouTube.
Yeah.
I was happy just like
On
looking.
Blog Talk Radio, I remember that.
Yeah, Blog Talk Radio, and then Spreaker. I was happy with just talking into a box and nobody could see me.
Yeah.
But then people were saying, "Oh, YouTube is where. Go to YouTube. Oh, video is where it's at." It's like, so reluctantly, really reluctantly, I started to go to YouTube, and then the live streaming. What's interesting is back in the day when I started live streaming, you did not need 1,000 people to live stream.
Right.
You didn't
Yeah.
need that. So when I started to do 50 minutes of flame, I was live streaming before I had 1,000 people,
Yeah.
right? But I was grandfathered in at that time. Now you need to have 1,000 people
Yeah.
to live stream. So the opportunities live stream are few and far between. And but there's some developments that are happening. Like I was on a site called Rockfin yesterday. Have you heard of Rockfin?
Yeah. I'm looking at it as well. Like apparently you can try and apply to Rockfin, but really the only way to get in is if you're invited by
You got to
someone.
be invited.
So yeah, so somebody I know is just started up, and as soon as he's settled, he's going to. Michael Wan's going to invite me there. He was invited by Sam Tripoli from the Tinfoil Hat podcast and whatnot.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, I'm looking. It's local in Austin, there. So I'm definitely planning. I have an idea of what I'm going to do with Rockfin when that comes about.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's also kind of interesting because it seems to be decentralized, meaning that there's no kind of there, right? It's kind of a decentralized platform. At least that's what it seems like.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. Then there are a few other live streamers, but they're not really all that well developed. I've been playing around with YouTube. censorship.app, which you can live stream and upstreaming from somebody like StreamYard. Like I could do that tomorrow if I wanted to, but YouTube does not allow you to archive the video, so that's not going to happen. So it was 2019 when I started to live stream. I think it's 2019.
It was 2018, I think.
2018. I
Yeah.
was live streaming from my website, and I was using the company called Boxcast. And
oh, that was in 2019. You
2019.
started 15 Minutes of Flame in 2018, but you started doing.
No, I started that I think in 20. I think that's 2015 or 2016.
Really?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I started.
Boy, time has flown.
I know, right? So yeah. I was streaming off my website, and then I was simulcasting with YouTube, and they have this chat partner called Chat Tango, and people who were on my website didn't like Chat Tango.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we like the YouTube chat better. Like, okay, well, why am I, dishing out $126 a month to do a simulcast when I get half a dozen people on my website? So I just, when my time with Boxcast was over, I didn't renew. So I'm just like, okay, let me just stream to YouTube. Now I went back to Boxcast again last week, and I talked to the same guy who was my rep there before. You can actually talk to somebody there. Okay?
Yeah.
You can talk to someone. And I talked to him and I said, yeah, I'm ready to come back and do this and work with you guys. And I told him what happened. I said, look, I got kicked off of YouTube because, I was probably talking about the election results and they don't like it. And he said, yeah, they got us right where they want us, don't they? So he knows, right? They know. And they're based out of Cleveland. They're not based out of China. They're not based out of India. And they have a lot of really high level accounts. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to streaming off a website, which hasn't been built yet, but I'm going to build it, hopefully, if I have some time this week. And then I'm going to play with the technology. And then the idea is to create another channel. Actually, I need to create 2 more channels. I need to recreate my astrology channel. And then I need to create another channel, which is going to be like 15 Minutes of Flame, but will just be nothing more than an upstream for about 15 minutes. And then once I get through that 15,
so these will be on YouTube. You're going to create them on YouTube.
Yeah, but it'll just be like, hey, how's it going? Light, touchy, and then it's like, I'm killing the stream. And if you want to see the rest of this, you got to come over here.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen. And it's what I wanted to do originally, but I never got the chance to do that because of the weird timing with the integration. So that's the plan. And I got a couple new domain names. I got starforwardphoenix.com, which is, I think, where we're going to have the shell for this. But I also have another website that is not on Google search. You can't find it. And I think that's going to be the members only site.
Okay.
And people who are subscribers will be able to go there, and there'll be some stuff there that you'll be able to do and see. And I think there's actually some community feature stuff on that. I just have to, it's been built already. I just need to flesh that out. And I'm still going to do Sunday Night Astro Live because it's I don't get any heat from it. And there's a big astrology community out there, and it's good. It's good for my business for that part.
Yeah.
And so I'll make that free and available. And the Friday Forecast, I may do 1 hour where you get to have the first hour, and then I'll kill the stream.
Yeah.
And then after that first hour, I'll talk about things with my guests that are going to be different than what you'll hear on the YouTube version. So I think that's going to be the way to go moving forward.
Completely. I mean, I I've been tapped into that for a while, but as soon as the lockdown started last year, I started experimenting with more speakeasy type of events, even though like Conspiracy Cocktail is not recorded, right?
Mhm.
The idea was like, okay, off of YouTube, we can just have open chatter about anything. We don't have to watch ourselves at all. And, like, I think that's, I mean, I love a speakeasy where there's like a regular restaurant out front. And then if you know about the secret door, you can go in and have a drink with the cool people in the back. And that's kind of, what it's going to be going forward. And it's like, okay, so like YouTube is for the hot dog stand up front. And if you want to, smoky old fashioned, you got to find the crack in the wall and go through and, that kind of thing. So that's kind of how I've been taking my stuff. My channel is small because I'm not on the Off Planet Media channel anymore, which is big, which was more susceptible to some issues. My channel is really small. And so I think that's part of what sort of helps me stay out of trouble. But I also, like, I switched, I have my account listed as entertainment, and my channel description, I talk about nonsense made up realities, right? It's a kind of thing, and some of my interests just, there's a lot of people out there talking about, politics and all of the social stuff. And I talk about that sometimes, mostly with you and Danny, and we'll continue to do Matrix Mash, here for now. And if we have to find another home for that, we will. But in terms of like my own stuff, I just got really more into like the time travel and the, like multiple timelines, multiple realities, and, things with the physical body and whatnot. So it's okay for me for now, but like I'm well aware of that it's not something to rely on. It's basically a place to advertise where you're really going to be at this point. So
Yeah, I feel like uh, I feel like at some point it'll all be locked down.
yeah.
That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll at some point, you or me will have to pass some kind. I mean, if things continue to go in this direction, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll have to be rated to be on YouTube.
Mm,
You, you'll have to be rated to have a website. Okay,
mm.
this is what's going to happen. And if you don't pass the rating to be on the internet, you're not going to be on the internet.
So I agree with you, but I also think there's another reality where that won't be the case, and both are going to be accessible to wherever you're sort of like, like I see it happening both ways, and I think some people are going to lock onto one reality and others onto another, and this goes for everything. Like, sometimes I refer to it as like I'm probably going to end up on the other side of the wall from my sister, right? Kind of
Yep.
thing, and it doesn't mean that we won't both be alive and we won't both be in the United States, but the reality she's locking onto is a different one than I'm locking onto. And I think the same thing goes for sort of what you're talking about. And it's just, kind of a question of which one are you investing into? At least that's kind of my perspective on it. But no, I think that what you're talking about is a reality that is going to happen.
Yeah, no, I think that they'll roll out a new version of the internet, and you'll have to qualify to be on it. That's my sense.
Yeah.
So if you're going to want to be on the internet, you're going to have to be on the dark web, or you're going to have to find some other way that's completely decentralized, and it'll be very much like hackers and the Matrix, and it's going to be that kind of virtual outlaw community.
Yeah.
And I think that it will definitely morph into the area of thought crime, because that's where this is headed. And they're just going down the list, right? They're just coming right down from the top, and they're just moving down, moving down, moving down. And I think for a while we can probably outsmart the algorithms.
Yeah.
Like apparently Owen Benjamin has this new thing on YouTube, Tea Time with Terry and Jerry, and it's somebody else's YouTube channel
Mm-hmm.
that he's on, and they've kind of like figured this thing out for now, that the algorithms don't theoretically recognize them.
Right.
But all it takes now it is the cancel culture.
Yeah.
And if the cancel culture finds you, and there are a lot of people who do not like Owen Benjamin,
Yeah.
and if the cancel culture finds you, they will launch an attack,
Yeah.
and they will go after you. And the next thing you know, even though the AI doesn't recognize the channel, it's like, oh, we've got this now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is, I mean, I guess what prepared me for this was all my years in the rave and the underground party scene, where your
Yep.
party would get shut down, you'd move to a new location, you had map points, you had secret codes, you had passwords. So for me, I actually enjoy that. Like, I don't like everything being out in the open necessarily. So for me, I don't understand why more of my party friends aren't employing these systems right now, but I'm going to. And yeah, but no, I mean, I think this is just, we always knew this was coming. And so it's now, all right, like how creative can we be sort of with the solution to this for now? So,
I think those are, there are viable options that are more underground.
yeah,
The challenge is growth. Like, how do you grow something
yeah,
that does not have a wider sort of broadcast?
yeah,
And I think in order to do that, you'd have to be like really super viral and super tapped into a network that is sort of self-assembling. And at which point, I would assume also that how we transact would also be on the same level as
yeah,
applying for a YouTube license.
yeah,
In which case, we'll be doing more than just trying to find a new place to stream.
right.
We'll be finding a new place to trade or barter or create alternative currencies or grow food that has now been deemed by the climate fascists as not good for the environment. I mean, this is what we're up against now.
You know what I watched the other night? We watched, and I'll probably talk about this a little bit with on Project Kids this week with Michael, but I'm going to talk about it now. I've never seen Men in Black, right? So last week we watched the first one, right? And because I don't watch movies, we watched the first one, and I was like, holy shit, this is a documentary. Like, it's kind of silly and stuff, but actually all the things that they presented in a way that seemed like goofy and ridiculous then are things that like we mostly now know to be true, right? So the other night we watched the second one, which wasn't as good as the first one, but there was something really interesting in it. The aliens in this, like in the first one, the one that they were all trying to, deal with was the bug. In this one, it was a plant. When the thing came from another planet and landed, it dropped something onto the soil that suddenly sprouted a little plant, and then this thing became this like little shop of horrors, Stranger Things kind of monster that was causing all these problems, right?
Yep.
And so, like, to me, that was code for the alien invasion. Is in that's the vegetables, the plants, the GMOs, the whatever, right? That's the alien invasion. And for sure, I mean, I think and even if you look at like the way I know you love them, some of the vegans behave, it is like that they have been, had their body totally hijacked by some sort of monstrous alien that has many layers of teeth for a stomach.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here he is.
Oh, Jasper the Astro Cat.
The man.
Let's see you, Jasper. I mean, I always thought maybe what we'd have to do is just start a cat channel, right? And we will like embed on this is before I knew Jasper didn't have teeth, right? Mm-hmm. But we would like embed the tiny little like symbol that people were looking for, like on Jasper's tooth, right? And in that symbol, like they'd be able to pick up the link to go to wherever the real party was going to be happening, right? And so we would just have a channel of cat videos with Jasper doing, interesting things or whatnot. And and we would use that to embed the real material.
That's pretty far out there.
Yeah. I like it. I don't know.
Yeah. That's very
Jasper Cast, right?
Yeah, I like Jasper Cast. Yeah, but I think speaking in code and there are people that do this now. Like they have YouTube videos where they're saying different things that are supposed to relate to things that are unsayable.
Well, it's kind of like when you were talking about erection integrity, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of your best pieces ever. But no, people are doing stuff like that, or like they're putting the emphasis on the wrong syllables in the words that they're saying, so that that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. For sure.
So I feel like the thing that is like, I'm not sure I have like there are other people that talk about the things I talk about, and maybe I talk about them in a way that they may not, or I may connect dots in a way that they may not, or whatever, or I may have a different style. So that sets me apart and them apart and you apart, right? So,
Yeah.
but the thing that I think really was a determining factor more than me, and I think that there's probably somewhere data that supports this, is that my streams were getting way more popular, and the cross section of people that were showing up for my streams
Mhm.
was getting their attention,
Yeah.
because I was getting older people, younger people. So I was getting boomers and I was getting Gen Zers. I was getting, you know, blacks, whites. I was getting international people. So I think that, and I was getting, it was, so I think that was probably one of the reasons why I got booted from YouTube, because I think that they don't want people, number one, congregating in a live setting together and having a sense of community unless it's a community that they approve of.
Correct. So I think that, you know what I think I think a couple things are what got you in trouble. I think that like you would get copyright claims a lot because you used other people's videos, which aren't really strikes, but they're claims, right? And occasionally you got the strikes. So that kind of put you on the algorithm radar as like, right, that kind of thing. And then exactly what you said, like you don't really talk about that many things that others don't. You put them together in a different way, right? Which is unique to you. But the other thing is that Chatland wasn't just listening to you and talking about what you were talking about. They were obviously listening to you, but also having their own private conversations. It was like the back room. It was like a boiler room,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so like this is obviously a tight knit community, and you're there saying that stuff. And you were, you were growing during this time. You didn't have, some people their growth stagnated during the lockdowns. Yours grew. So I think what ended up happening is the fact that you'd had copyright and content claims based on using videos and a few strikes and things like that basically gave them the excuse to kick you off in a way that, to kick you off, right? I think that was kind of, I think if you were to ask them why you got kicked off and you were able to get an answer, they'd say, oh, well, you had a lot of copyright claims and some strikes and whatnot, but lots of people get them all the time. Right. And so they use that as the excuse to boot you for the other thing. And they don't want backroom economies in your chat room. I don't mean it in the sense that like people were buying and trading and selling in your room, but people were trading in information
Yep.
that was obvious was its own sort of ecology and culture back there. It wasn't just related to the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So I think that ultimately, that was I think the primary reason, because the copyright stuff, I mean, I fought a lot of that. A lot of them I won.
Right.
Um, and the ones that I didn't win, they were monetized, right? They
Yeah.
were they were monetized. There were a few that might have been film clipish or whatever, and it's like, well, fine, whatever. I just took it down. So,
Yeah.
took it
Yeah.
down. Like the Vanessa Redgrave Oscar speech, I took down. But of course, the New York Times could use that clip.
Right. That's the part. I mean, here's the thing. If it's out there, we should be able to use it. Obviously not that we shouldn't be able to put other people's movies in their entirety on our stuff or whatever. But like if somebody posts it on YouTube, how worried are they really? It's one thing if they have it posted on like the thing where you have to pay $3 to watch the movie on YouTube, right?
Right.
But if they have it out there, like I just fully expect that when I put something on YouTube, that it might end up on somebody else's channel. Right. I
I, I've
expect that.
I've been given copyright strikes for trailers.
Yeah.
Not even a portion, not even a scene, like not even the scene from the movie itself,
Right.
but a trailer. And
Yeah.
the trailer is living on, YouTube. And it's
Yeah.
like, really? You're allowed the trailer. Other people probably use the trailer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So what is the timetable looking like for when you're going to be back? Because I know that, I mean, people miss you terribly and you've only been gone for 3 days.
Yeah, so I got these domains, and I've got a lot going on right now, but I'm going to try to build one of them out, hopefully this week. And I'm going to continue to, like, you know, carry on my discussion with the Boxcast people, because they have a physical encoder that they provide, versus like an OBS, which is an encoder. So I'm going to get their physical encoder, and then I'm going to hook it up to a camera. So the idea here is to do something different. Like, I don't want to just kind of roll, oh, hey, I'm back. I want to do something different, because that's how we evolve. And I want to use this as an opportunity to evolve and you know, grow creatively. And you know, that's also, I mean, there's also this other thing going on in the background now that I'm probably going to have to move, which is, you know, it's come at a really weird time. And even that's got a strange backstory. So I got a phone call. So I theoretically lost my internet home, and I'm theoretically about to lose my physical home as my lease runs out. So that all happened within 72 hours.
Yeah.
And astrologically, I know exactly why that happened. I could break it down quite easily. But so this woman who is the property manager, who is she's kind of nutty. And like, I never really had a whole lot to do with her, because I didn't really want to. Like, you know, I don't want to call you. I don't want you coming over. I've got a couple of lights that have gone out, and like, I can live with that. You know, I just want to stay out of my way. So I got a call from her. This was 2 weeks ago, and she said, "Hey, Robert, how do you like living at that place?" I'm like, "I like it. It's great." She said, "You want to buy it?" Well, I'm like, "Well, I guess so. Yeah, sure. Well, the owners want to sell, and here's what's going on, and they're going to put it on the market, da 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 da, and they're going to give you first opportunity if you want to buy it." I'm like, "Okay, I'm not sure that I'd qualify, but you know, let's talk about it." So then last week, I sent her. I think I talked to her on the phone. I said, "Hey, so and so, it's Robert, and I wanted to talk to you because let's say this thing doesn't work out or it goes sideways. Like, can you start sending me some inventory so I can see what's out there and make kind of an alternate plan?" "Oh, don't worry about it. It's all going to work out okay." Okay. So then last Friday, these people came over to kind of assess the property. Now I thought she was going to be one of them, and then the insinuation was that she was going to be there and she was going to have some kind of a conversation with me. Well, she doesn't show up, and this mother-daughter team who own this real estate company, they're the ones that show up, and they theoretically at that time she was working for them. So they come by and, oh, there's this and there's that and there's this. Oh, yes. Okay, well, thank you very much. I'm like, okay, well, that was weird. Why didn't I have a conversation about what's happening? Oh, we'll be in touch. Okay. So then yesterday, it was today, I got an email from the real estate company who had hired her as their property manager, that she's no longer working for them. I'm like, oh, okay. So this person who has been setting up possibly me buying this, they're no longer there now. Oh, okay. The person who told me not to worry, like, she was the one that should have fucking worried. All right.
Yeah.
Because now she doesn't have a gig. And then, you know, I tried to be cool with her, and I said, hey, you know, sent her a text, said, hey, I heard you're not working with blank blank and blank blank anymore. I hope everything works out okay for you, and you know, you get to jump to a new lily pad or whatever I said. So, and I said, so by the way, you know, I'm wondering if you could offer me some insight into what's going on with this property. And she said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm no longer employed by them. You'll have to talk to them. Like, why can't you fucking pick up the phone and say, hey, can you call me? Or, you know, or it's like, can you, yeah, I'll call you. I can't really tell you much, but I'll call you. Why can't, you know, it's, sometimes I don't really expect a lot from humans,
Right.
because humans will let you down,
Yeah.
but that's like a minor thing.
Yeah.
It'd be like, hey, listen, the owner's selling. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, but I do think that blank, blank, and blank, blank want to put it on the market and sell it. So you should probably look for something else.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, why can't a human just do that? That's like basic shit.
Yeah.
This is the person who said, don't worry. Well, you kind of put me in a position in some ways, a little bit, to not have to worry about this. And now you're not there. So why don't you just take a little responsibility
Yeah.
for it? Just you say, hey, look, I really can't say much, but if I were you, I'd start looking for a place.
Yeah.
So what am I supposed to do? I was just like, okay, fine, thanks, move on. So that's where I am now, and now I've got to deal with that. And the idea, hopefully, would be to find something bigger and create more of a real studio, so I can use this new equipment to do something different. So you and I have talked now that we're going to be sort of distant neighbors. Maybe have you out once a month
Yeah.
and do a matrix mash, from my studio
Yeah.
and with maybe even a multicam setup,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's really what I kind of want to go for. And it's been it's been interesting because I try to take cues from, I don't want to use the word universe, but I've always taken cues from what's happening with me in the sort of spiritual physical biofeedback loop, right? And so I've had these endings, and I'm in a 9 year. So I'm like in this kind of ending cycle. So part of me has even thought about, well, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this anymore. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm done. Maybe this is really the universe's way of telling me that I'm done. And I had to live with that idea. It's like, well, what does that look like? And is my identity so wound up in this thing
Hmm.
that I can't walk away from it? And if I did walk away from it, what would that look like? And who would I be?
Hmm.
Do I define myself by doing something every single day? And what would people what would people do, right? Because I feel like in some ways I'm sort of responsible for not necessarily other people, but I feel like I've been holding a space for a
Hmm.
while, and I'm not opposed to that, and
Yeah.
I'm still more than willing to do that. But it's like I also am listening to, like, well, what else is really going on here? Like,
Hmm.
what is evolving, and what do I need to evolve with? Now, astrologically, I know my chart. I've got a lot of really good things happening. I could really use this time, especially with some Aquarian energy, to build something new. Like, I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility. But I am also trying to understand at a deeper level, like, what's next.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I don't want to do, and I've done this before. I used to DJ live, and every time I would DJ live, it would be a fucking disaster. And for whatever reason, it would be a disaster. Not because I wasn't good. I mean, I could DJ pretty well, but there was always some peripheral thing going on that would make it, like, I don't
A
know,
shit show.
a shit show, just
Yeah.
difficult. And I remember a long time. I remember talking with this psychic one time. This is back in the '90s. I said, her name was Sandra. I said, Sandra, I for the life of me, I cannot figure out why I can't do this live DJ thing, because I can do it. I was into do like ambient mixes and stuff like that. And she said, well, you're not supposed to be doing that live. You can do it on your own and you can mix things, but you're not supposed to be doing that live. I was like, oh, okay. So true to form, when I started to do these mixtapes, they were really good. And I was doing these like really cool mixtapes with, fades and all that stuff, these extended sort of ambient dance mixtapes. And I got really good at making my own beats and stuff. That was later, like it was in the 2000s. So she was right. There was something there
Yeah.
that I needed to kind of listen to and blend with, versus being the salmon that's going to swim upstream and eventually spawn and die. So I'm in this place now. Okay, well, this is ending. This house here is ending.
Yeah.
My channel has ended, but I do enjoy doing what I do, and I do want to continue to create a sense of community. So I'm going to explore it, and I'm going to put this thing together. And if it sticks and works, then I know that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, if there's a third thing now that comes in and slaps me down, then I'm probably going to sit back and say, maybe I need to kind of re-rack this.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then, I mean, I'm not sure at that point what I would do, because I'm wired to do, some things. I'm wired to be an astrologer. I'm wired to help people, work with people. I'm wired to write and communicate. And that would be, cutting off a big part of my, myself in some ways. And sometimes these things happen. And sometimes, we have to go there, but I'm not ready to go there yet. And I'm looking forward to innovating and, doing something different and new and continuing to do what I'm doing along those lines.
So, all right. Well, so everybody has the update of where we're at now. I think maybe you and I might mash later this week or something like
Yeah,
that.
it'd be great.
People will be able to catch it probably, I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday. Let me know what works for you in the evening, and we will do that so you guys can find that here and keep a little flow going while you get everything else sorted out. And Robert, all I know is that many people really love and cherish you. I am one of them. So we hope that this resolves in a way that allows you to speak your mind freely and, find a new level of satisfaction. I know you already, find a lot of satisfaction in what you do, but a new level of satisfaction in a way that you're, able to speak freely and really not have to be tap dancing around what you know to be the truth. And we
Yeah.
will all be looking to see what you do and be here to support you.
Yeah, well, thanks, Emily. And I really appreciate that. And I'm really looking forward to you being closer, so that you and I can, play in 3D with this stuff. It'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. All right, guys, you guys know, can catch, I'll be back with several shows this week, and you guys can find me on patreon.com/off planet media or emilymoyer.locals.com. You can find Robert right now currently at robertphoenix.com.
And sign up for an email newsletter, because I can stay in touch with you that way as well.
Yep. And I'll continue to give people updates, and we'll be back later this week with Matrix Mash. And thanks, guys. Have a good night. All right, cool.